your house in Katherines, you have a problem that I could simplify it, I believe, is there's a tree that is giving you grief in your house. Could you explain a bit more?
Yes, sure. I just want to first say thank you very much for taking the time to come. Basically in 2010 we had a problem with the tree damaging the footpath. It was a block pavement footpath, and Harlow Council accepted that the problem was to do with their tree roots. They also acknowledged that there was a risk of damage to our property. They've put that in writing as well. The problem is that they promised to prune the trees. They did so by only 20%, and according to the Hortling study, it should be by at least 70 to 90%. They root pruned the trees, which was not a serious attempt at root pruning because they only went down 6.5 inches. They promised to lay a root barrier. They not only did not lay the root barrier, and that was Mr. Bloomer at Mr. Halpin's meeting on the 23rd of September, not only did they not lay it, but Mr. Fazakli said that I asked for the root barrier, which implied I want the trees kept, which was not correct. And then when I put through a complaint, there was no stage 1 as I was promised, and as per the Harlow Council's complaints procedure. It went straight to stage 2. I was told that 2 emails that I was sent would be amalgamated. They were not. Mr. Bloomer appeared not to remember the meeting he had only 4 to 5 weeks earlier.
We have to be careful here because Mr. Bloomer isn't here to defend himself, and we will try and get the Harlow Council's viewpoint in this. So without going through the whole of this process, it's just, how is this affecting your life, or how is this affecting your property?
Well, can I just first of all, I'd like to establish once and for all that the trees, Harlow Council's tree roots, have damaged our property, and I'd like to read out a statement, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
This is from Cunningham Lindsay, the loss adjusters, who have carried out tests, a trial pit test in our garden. And their statement is their letter dated the 21st of November 2013, and they say, further to the recent site investigations that were carried out to the foundations of the brickwork garden wall, I can confirm that the tree roots have been causing physical damage to the foundations and the brickwork. The tree roots have encroached to the underside of the foundations and have physically displaced the foundations, causing the cracking to the brickwork. Now, that is just one of many reports that we have. Other pieces of evidence are Hortlink. It is the only study in the world that talks about water conservation of trees. And bear in mind, we have clay soil, shrinkable clay soil. That is the only study that shows the relationship between tree roots and buildings. And they say the trees should be reduced by 70 to 90%. It's now enshrined in law in the case of Robbins versus the Bexley London Borough Council of 2012. In my opinion, from what I have seen and the letters that I have and the contradictory statements made by Harlow Council that I have seen, it is my view completely that Harlow Council have broken criminal law, in my view, and have broken civil law, in my view, from the cases that I've also seen. Harlow Council, in my view, in June 2010, also carried out a report for another house in Harlow at 7 The Gowers, where they removed trees because they say the works would not be sufficient. Now, what I would like to do, please, if I may, is just to read out some points that I think will help your viewers. And they are, there's only a few points, there's not that many, it's about 12. Point 1, HaltLink from 2004 is the only research that looks at the conservation of water, and this was ignored by Harlow Council, as per the Marshall-Thompson report that we have, and it's a very detailed arboricultural report. HaltLink is enshrined in law, as I said, in the Robbins versus Bexley London Borough Council case. The Robbins case is ignored by Harlow Council because it's gone on from 2010. We're now in 2017, and they've had 5 years in which to do something about it and refused to. Harlow Council and Zurich Municipal have a solicitor called Waitmans, who have denied not knowing what we were claiming for in their letter, when they have been provided with the Cunningham-Lindsay letter and the reports that the Cunningham-Lindsay letter is based upon. Harlow Council refused to operate an honest and correct complaints process in 2010 and 2012, in my view. Harlow Council put the works through in 2010 that they admitted would not stop the drying of the clay soil. Mr. Fazackley, in his letter to me dated the 23rd of October 2010, through works in 2010 that they said later, just on the 23rd of October 2010, that they were not fit for purpose. Mr. Fazackley, who's the Harlow Council Landscape and Biodiversity Manager, and we've been advised as an arborist, a tree expert, said whilst pruning a tree, even severely, may not significantly reduce the water uptake of the tree and therefore the desiccation of the soil. Desiccation is the drying of the soil that leads to subsidence. So they know that the tree would cause damage, and they actually put in writing, they said that Harlow Council's expert said on the 23rd of October 2010 in the same letter, reducing or limiting the height of the tree and canopy can reduce the spread of the roots and therefore their influence. So quite clearly they know that the tree is dangerous, and if you look on the Zurich Municipal, that's the Harlow Council's insurer's website, they have a Zurich Municipal tree root claims process, and they say you must be careful of hotspots such as homes built on clay soil.
So where are we now? We're now in 2017, and here in reference to 2010 and 2013. Where are we?
Well, in 2010, Mr. Fazackley wrote to our neighbour at 16 Hyams, and he said, yes, the trees do have the potential to cause damage. That was in his letter to him on the 10th of November. Then in 2012, what Mr. Bloomer had written to me by email still stands today. And he wrote in his email to me dated the 14th of March 2012, the trees are on a cyclical maintenance program and are likely to require repeated crown reduction every 5 to 10 years. Whilst we have HaltLink that says the trees must be reduced by 70 to 90%, and then it will only have an effect for up to 2 seasons, confirmed by law in the Robbins case. Then we have Mr. Fazackley saying the trees need to be limited in height. Mr. Bloomer, according to this email, takes no account of this and ignores it and puts them on a 5 to 10 year pruning cycle.
Right.
And it goes further. Mr. Bloomer's email continues. He says, which caused me the stress, should evidence be received that implicates the trees as the cause of structural damage, the frequency and severity of pruning will be reviewed. He's basically saying, Mr. Kolah, don't worry, Harlow Council will breach their legal duty of care to you. Because their duty of care says, if you believe the trees are dangerous, and this is confirmed on the Harlow Council website, they will not limit the trees for anything such as water uptake, but will give consideration to remove the trees, they're ignoring that statement as well.
So where are we in 2017?
No change.
Okay. So
They refuse to listen. I've asked them, Mr. Morley, for the truth. He wrote or arranged for his head of governance to write a letter to me to say that my complaint is vexatious and not to contact Harlow Council until 2019.
Right. Are you going to accept that?
Never.
Why not?
This is my parents' home. They've worked hard for it. Not only do we have the whole of the arboricultural industry on our side, not only do we have Zurich Municipal Subsidence Team on our side, not only do we have the law on our side, but we also have Harlow Council on our side that says the trees are dangerous. If the trees are dangerous, they know them to be dangerous, they've even pruned the trees, so they know that there is a link, as it states in law, between the trees and our property. They have a duty, a legal duty, to prevent damage. They have said that they would do so, and then they changed their mind and said they will not.
To the man on the street, this seems quite a simple solution, and I know I have to make this news item as attractive as possible to the man on the street, etc. But it doesn't mean pi is quite complicated, but it doesn't mean I put it down to 3. Wish I could. But it seems like you've got a problem with a tree. It looks like it could damage, or there has been damage. It could be damage to your house. Can you not take part down the tree? Yes, I know the tree preservation order and stuff like that, etc. But that's not going to happen, is it? What you're saying is it's an argument about percentages. But it just looks like it looks like what you want is not going to happen, and they're not going to give you what you want.
No.
And here we are in 2017.
No.
Are we still going to be here in 2020, 2022 in the same situation?
No, it's not a question of what I want. If it was a question of what I wanted, it would have been done in 2010, and they would have said, Mr. Kolah, what you want is ridiculous. They actually, to be fair to them, they actually probably said that not in so many words. Harlow Council have adopted, in my view, a highly arrogant and dishonest approach, because I did not ask for the root barrier. They promised it. They said to Rip Off Britain that I insisted upon a root barrier that would cost £30,000. No, they promised a root barrier that would cost £30,000. The alternative option was to remove the trees and replace them with trees that were less dangerous. They've done that elsewhere in Harlow.
But they haven't done it here.
No, sir.
Will they do it here?
No, sir.
So this is a standoff, isn't it?
No, sir.
No.
It's not a standoff. It is a case of Harlow Council's senior officers ignoring their own policies, ignoring the law, ignoring the whole of the arboricultural industry, particularly with Hortlink.
So how are you going to get them? How are you going to win? Because I've only just met you, but there's a hunch I get that you may not win this, and that we could be here in 10 years' time, and this fight is still going on.
Well, that's where the law comes into it.
Because you're not giving up, are you?
I will never give up. Not just for our own home, but because reading the media, and I've taken a closer interest in the media since 2010, others in Harlow have suffered. I've gone through eczema, sepsis, and had a heart attack. All since, and all because, of Harlow Council's officers. I do not want or intend others to go through this, which is why I'm so grateful to people like, and organisations like your Harlow, to raise this issue. If I am wrong, I will look pretty stupid, but how can I be wrong when I'm quoting their own insurer's subsidence team, when I am quoting Hortlink, when I am quoting the law? Let me quote something to you. This is from the judge in the Robbins case. Her name is Judge McQueen, Ms. McQueen, and she states that she relied heavily upon Haltlink. The relevant conclusions from the Haltlink study were expressed as follows. Total tree and water use, and it's called transpiration, was reduced by crown reduction and unaffected by crown thinning in the year of pruning. Crown reduction reduced soil drying by trees in the year of pruning, but the effects were generally small and disappeared within the following season, unless the reduction was severe, in which case the effects were larger and persisted for up to 2 years. The authors therefore recommended that for practical soil moisture conservation, severe crown reduction of 70 to 90% of crown volume would have to be applied. Reduction of up to 50% crown volume is not consistently effective for decreasing soil drying. So, going back, how does that apply to our case? Mr. Fasackley, if you may remember, in his letter to me, the 23rd of October 2010, immediately after they carried out the works, said that their works would not resolve soil drying, which leads to subsidence. So my question, if you like, to Harlow Council is, okay, fine, why spend public money doing works that you know will be ineffective and telling me that it is effective? Why not remove the trees? Why not resolve this matter back in 2010 as per Haltlink? That has to be the benchmark. It's widely accepted and is now accepted in law from 2012 onwards. If you are not going to accept the law, then what basis do we possibly have of having a society which is completely lawless? These are basic questions that need answering. Mr. Bloomer, in his email to me of 2012, has put the trees on a 5 to 10 year pruning cycle. There is no arboricultural or tree evidence that supports that. In fact, his own officer has advised against it.
So are you saying your tree is no different, say, than Nicholsfield, which gets cut every 10 to 12 days? That tree is basically on a cycle and it will get pruned, cut, etc., according to a council rota. Are we basically in no different situation? I
was not aware of that. There seems to be a complete difference in approach, not just with Nicholsfield, both Gowers and with Hyams. There is no kind of tree policy in Harlow which...
Okay. So in conclusion, a minute left, in conclusion, where are you for us?
Right, let me tell you what we've suffered, because I think there has to be like a cause and effect. And the cause has been Harlow Council ignoring their responsibilities, and the effect has been this. Harlow Council promised the root barrier and they advised that it would cost £30,000. They refused to remove the trees, and it's caused me the following. Stress due to our local authority putting in writing that they are to wait for structural damage and not meet their legal obligations to prevent damage, which they've even advised in writing that they would, and reneged upon that. I have had eczema due to the stress. I have sepsis due to the treatment for the eczema. I have had a heart attack as recently as November 2016 due to the stress. I've had defamation of character by Harlow Council, who have actually said that I have insisted upon a route barrier that would cost our taxpayers £30,000. It is untrue what they said to the BBC Rip Off Britain. Rip Off Britain have confirmed that, by the way. Defamation of character, because they said that my complaint is vexatious when it's supported by a huge amount of evidence, including the Cunningham-Lindsay letter and reports that are part of the subsidence team for Zurich Municipal. And finally, a huge amount of time and costs dealing with this case, started by Harlow Council's senior management and manufactured by them, getting a lack of support from eyewitness Robert Halfon, who organised that meeting, chaired that meeting on the 23rd of September 2010, where promises were made by Harlow Council, and a lack of support to date by 3 leaders of the council and our own local ward councillors.
Are you looking for any, in the end, are you looking for any financial compensation?
Whether I am looking for it or not, we are owed it. Had Harlow Council followed Haltlink as they had done in June 2010 with the Gowers property, I would not be here speaking with your good self right now.